Hi, my name's Robin. Welcome to English Grammar Now. Today, we're going to be talking about now and how to use the present simple. To talk about what is normally true and things that we do often, we use the present simple tense. We've already looked at how to use the verb to be in the present simple. We conjugate or change the verb to be so that it matches with each different pronoun. I am, he is, they are. To be is a very important verb, and it's very unusual, but it's also very useful in things like the present continuous, which we have already studied. But there are many more verbs that we need to use in the present simple. So let's see how to use those. When we change other verbs into the present simple, we also need to conjugate them, to change them depending on which pronoun we are using. For example, the verb to work. When we say it with I, we say, I work. But when we say it with he or she or it, we add an S at the end. He works, she works, it works. For most verbs, the I form of it is the same as we, they, and you. So just like we say I work, we say they work. No added letters at the end. These are regular verbs: work, play, and live. They follow a pattern that is easy to use. When you match these words with I, nothing changes about the verb. When you match these verbs with he, she, and it, you add an S to the end. And when you match these verbs with we, they, and you, it's the same as the I form, with nothing changing in the verb. There are some spelling changes we need to look out for, however. Some verbs have some unusual changes, but they do follow rules. For example, for verbs that end with S, CH, SH, X, or Z, we add ES instead of just S. For example, the verb to pass. We say, I pass, he passes. Passes. Adding the extra E allows us to say it more clearly. For the verb to watch, it sounds like I watch, she watches. For the verbs that end with Y, we change the Y into an I and add ES. So the ending becomes IES. When we have the verb to try, it sounds like this: I try, he tries. Two verbs have a slightly unusual change: go and do. Although they don't end in S, we add ES to the end. So we say, I do, he does. I go, she goes. These are the rules for regular verbs in the present simple. Here's some examples of why we would use the present simple. There are three main kinds of sentences. First, we use the present simple when we're talking about basic facts or general truth, things that do not change. For example, he is married. This is a fact. Or, the sun rises in the east. This is always true, so we will talk about it using the present simple. The second kind of sentence is when we're talking about usual activities or habits, things that we do frequently. For example, they played badminton every Friday. On every Friday, They will play badminton, so we use the present simple to talk about it. The second example, I do not eat fish. This is my habit. I don't eat fish, and I don't intend to eat fish, so I use the present simple to talk about it. The third kind of sentence is when we are talking about a planned appointment or an event. For example, the movie starts at 7:30 p.m. Or, she arrives tomorrow. We know exactly when this will happen. It is pre-planned, so we use the present simple to talk about it. Here's a chance for you to try. For each of these 4 verbs, to buy, to fix, to study, to wash, can you find a way to put them in those 2 sentences? Remember, you may have to change the spelling of the verb to make it fit. Give it a try. Here's the answers to those sentences. To buy can fit into the sentences like this. They buy ice cream at the mall. Mrs. Larson buys textbooks for us. To fix can fit in like this. He fixes bicycles. I fix my glasses. Remember, because fix ends with an X, we have to add ES, not just S at the end of this one. For to study, we can put it in the sentences like this. Victra studies every day. You study so much. To wash can fit in the sentences like this. My brother washes his hands before supper. I wash my clothes on Monday. One more thing that we can add into present simple sentences are some adverbs. These will tell us how much we do something. 2 very common adverbs are always and never. When we add always or never in the sentence, it might look like this. I always wash my hands before I eat. We always travel on the holidays. She always chooses passion soda. This means it happens all the time. Never means it does not happen. For example, I never get to work on time. We never leave the door unlocked. She never watches scary movies. When we add always or never into the sentence, it usually goes between the pronoun and the main verb. So we have pronoun, adverb, main verb. I never get. She always chooses. But you can see that we still need to change the spelling of the verb to match the pronoun. We add es at the end of choose because it is with the pronoun she. Here's some other adverbs that you could use in present simple sentences to describe how often something happens. We can use usually or often, which means it happens many times, but not as many as always. Sometimes is in the middle, like 50-50. It happens sometimes, but not other times. Rarely is for something that does not happen very often, but it might happen sometimes, very few times. These adverbs are more flexible. We can put them in the same place as always or never, right before the main verb. For example, I usually get up at 7 o'clock. My family sometimes eats out. Or he rarely eats sweets. We can also put these adverbs at the end of the sentence. For example, my brother reads comic books often. It rains in February sometimes. You eat breakfast rarely. We can also put these adverbs at the beginning of the sentence. We could say, usually the students do their homework. Sometimes I think about my future job. Rarely does not go at the beginning of the sentence, however. So these adverbs are more flexible, and we can add them to our sentence to tell how much something happens. Here's something for you to try. Each of these three is a group of words that can make one present simple sentence. You can rearrange the words and make sure that you change the verb so that the spelling is correct and it matches with the pronoun. Give it a try. Here's the answers for those three sentences. For number 1, you could write, Julia always enjoys parties. For number 2, you could write, I often forget people's names. But you could also put often in a different part of the sentence. You could say, often I forget people's names. Or you could say, I forget people's names often. All of these mean the same thing. You can put the adverb in any of those parts of the sentence. For number 3, you could say, my friends rarely take the bus. Or you could move rarely to the end of the sentence and say, my friends take the bus rarely. Both of those have the same meaning. Let's take a look at a conversation that uses the present simple. See if you can find examples of the present simple verbs and the adverbs that we've studied today. Hello, Mila. It's nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. I'm a student, so I usually get up early. I always walk to the university. How old are you? I'm 18. I graduate this year. What are your hobbies? Sometimes I swim, and I often go to the mall with friends, but I rarely buy anything. Can you see examples of the present simple in this conversation? Here's some of the verbs that I've highlighted. Get up, are, graduate, are, swim, go, and buy. Those are all forms of present simple verbs. You can also see the adverbs that we've used in these sentences. Usually, always, sometimes, and rarely. Thanks for studying the present simple with me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.